The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Those rumblings are starting again. Once again, people are saying, ding dong, the big bad Bama dynasty is dead. We've heard this numerous times throughout Saban's tenure. We've heard this numerous times as Alabama fans throughout college football history. And each and every time it's said, sure, Alabama may go away for a little while, but they always come back. And from what Kirk Herbstreit was saying, Alabama and their Nick Saban dynasty may not be quite done yet. Let's talk about it. Here we are once again, riding on in. Once again, it's the Outlaw Posse now in effect. And the Outlaw Posse membership continues to grow, and we finally made that top 20. As Richard Burton comes in, saddles up, and he's mounted up and ready to go, and he's deputized, and now Richard Burton has his badge. And if you guys and gals out there want to get your badge and get deputized and be privy to some of the perks that are coming, then all you got to do is hit that little button that says join right next to the subscribe button. It's only $2.99 a month. That's not but 75 cents a week. And today I'm going to give a few shout outs. First of all, to our donors last week. Old 56 timer threw us a nice little donation in there of about 20 bucks. VRDL got in $5, and Lee Barden donated $20 as well. Appreciate the hell out of that, you guys and gals. Keep me motivated and keep me up and going. And, as I've always said, this is the Outlaw of College Football, and I can be reached on Twitter at OCF Productions. Now, getting right to it here. Seems like Kirk Herbstreit had a little something to say in his article. He's saying that, once you count Alabama out, that's usually when they come back. Now, I'm not naive, and I know eventually Nick Saban will retire. He's not a Highlander. You're not going to have to chop his damn head off to get rid of him or anything like the Highlanders. It's going to come to an end eventually. But that doesn't necessarily mean Alabama comes to an end, because if you know your college football history, and we'll go over that in just a second, you will know that more than likely Alabama will end up having a sixth coach win a national championship. Nick Saban is the fifth coach to win a national championship at Alabama. Back to Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk Herbstreit is basically telling us what, if you look at the stats here, and I'm going to throw a screenshot up here of the past national championships this century. It seems like, especially in the last 10 to 15 years, Alabama doesn't go more than 2 years without a national championship, which is astronomical. I've never seen anything like it in all my years of watching football. My 40 plus years of watching football as a kid, starting around probably the age of 8, I've never seen anything like this. And I'm not saying that because I'm an Alabama fan. It's just obvious. I mean, if you look back through history, this kind of sustained dominance hasn't been seen in college football in quite some time. So Alabama's went 2 more years without a national championship because Georgia's won back-to-back. The dynasty was supposedly dead back when Ole Miss beat us 2 years in a row, and then Ohio State and Florida State won 2 national championships. Paul Feinbaum, as he always does, tries to jump the gun and be Mr. Right, and he was Mr. Wrong. And when he gets that way, when he's proven to be Mr. Wrong, he tends to say some nasty things, and he did. But it's still, all it did was drive Nick Saban to come back and win a national championship, and that's what he did. And then, they had a little tick for tack with Clemson. Alabama would win it, Clemson win it, Alabama win it, Clemson win it. And then LSU and Clemson won championships 2 years in a row together. And then again, the dynasty was dead. Because we went all of 2 years without a national championship. Y'all not see how astronomically crazy that is for people to think that a dynasty is dead or a coach's career is dead because he hasn't won a national championship in two years? No other coach has had those expectations put upon him in his program. No coach in the history of college football. Think about it. Not even Bear Bryant, not even Bud Wilkinson, not even way back in the day, Newt Rockne. Nobody's ever been expected to win a national championship at least every 2 years. But they expect that of Nick Saban. So if Alabama doesn't win a national championship this year, it'd be the first time since he's been here at Alabama that we went 3 years without a national championship. That's just crazy because you got teams out there that have never even won a national championship in 130 years of football. But now, as far as the history lesson goes, when it comes to these traditional powers like the Alabamas and Oklahomas and Notre Dames, well, not even Notre Dame anymore. We really can't say Notre Dame because they've sort of, screwed themselves by not winning a national championship in 30 plus years. Of course, Georgia went 41 years without one. Now they got two, and now they think that they are a dynasty. But as far as Alabama goes, and in the historical perspective of Alabama is this. They won their first national championship in 1925 by most reputable outlets, media outlets of that time and day. The Rose Bowl back then, up until the 1930s, was what you would consider a de facto BCS national championship game. Whoever won the Rose Bowl was considered to be the national championship by most reputable outlets. And so Alabama won numerous national championships back then. Alabama has won national championships under every imaginable format put in front of them. Before we had the college football playoff and the BCS, people were like, well, those are imaginary national championships, yada, yada, yada. Let's see what happens when we start having a real national championship game like the BCS. Alabama won it three times. Then we had the playoff. Oh, Alabama won't do it now, right? We got a playoff now. There's going to be 4 teams that you have to deal with. Well, 3 teams if you're Alabama. What Alabama do? They've won more national championships in the playoff era and the BCS era than any other team. So all that narrative and that straw grasping that a lot of the Alabama haters did, saying that all the national championships we claimed post BCS and playoff were imaginary, and we really can't be adorned as some kind of big time traditional power, has been shot to hell, because now we've won national championships when nobody can dispute them. Alabama's won them as BCS and in the playoffs more than anybody. So there's no disputing that. So those that think Alabama's dead or Nick Saban's dynasty's over, it may not quite be that way. Let's give it this year, and then you might be able to start clamoring and saying, yay, the Nick Saban dynasty's over. But I will forewarn you, because it's happened time and time again. Just go back and look at Bear Bryant. Yeah, Bear Bryant retired. Alabama went through a lull. Just 13 years. That's just a drop in the bucket. And Gene Stallings won a national championship. Went through another 17-year lull. What happened? Got our shit together, got Nick Saban, and now you got what you got. You got one of the biggest and best dynasties of all time in college football history. Fast forward to now, Nick Saban's on the brink of eventually retiring, most likely. I would say probably the next, at most, 3 to 4 years. I think Nick Saban will eventually retire. And so everybody then is going to be like, yes, Alabama's dead. Once again, you do your history. This has been going on since 1925. And history does what? What's the old adage? History tends to repeat itself, class. And then more than likely it will. After Nick Saban's gone, Alabama will probably go through a little lull like they did with Bear Bryant and Gene Stallings. And then eventually Alabama will win a national championship without Nick Saban. It will happen. I'm always saying that in such confidence that because it's been happening that way since 1925. Now, if you want to go back and disclaim some of those national championships back in the day when football was in its early stages, I could maybe give you everything before 1907. Anything after that, you've got to recognize it. You got to count it, because the forward pass was invented in 1907, and we had modern football starting in 1907. So anything after 1907 that is recognized by a reputable media outlet of that time or era is counted. If you're not going to count Alabama's, then you can't count Ohio State's, you can't count Notre Dame's, you can't count Oklahoma's, Texas's, Michigan's, Southern Cal's. You can't count any of their national championships in that era if you're not going to count Alabama's as well. Only national championship that you might be able to take away from Alabama might be 1941. That'd be the only one I could give you. But even that, we probably got screwed in 1966. But that's the history lesson for the day. Thanks to Kirk Herbstreit for the nice little endorsement as well. And that's all I got to say about that. There's a little heart thanks button if you don't mind up underneath the video here. You can hit that and throw a few dollars in the coffers if you want to donate to the program. If you don't want to do the membership thing, which is, once again, it's a little join button next to the subscribe button. It's Outlaw Posse. If you want to mount up and join Outlaw Posse and get deputized and get your badge, hit that join button. $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. Also, I have Cash App. I'll put that in the description of the video if you want to cut the middleman out and make sure all the money goes to the show. Then hit my Cash App in the description of this video. And as always, like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.